Now, the A380 is impossible to miss. It's big, unique, and when it shows up at an airport, everyone notices.
You ever see an Airbus A380 up close? It doesn't even look like it should fly. It's huge 2 full decks, 4 engines, and a wingspan wider than some runways. When it first hit the skies, it was supposed to be the future of air travel. Bigger, bolder, and way more luxurious. But now, more than a decade later, there's talk of bringing it back. A reimagined version called the A380neo. And everyone's wondering, would that be the ultimate comeback or just another aviation misstep? Let's be honest, the A380 is one of those planes that makes people stare. Passengers adore it. It's quiet, comfortable, and smooth. You don't feel packed in like a sardine. It feels premium even if you're in economy. But that comfort came with a price, literally. Airlines quickly realized the A380 was ridiculously expensive to operate. 4 engines meant cease, high fuel costs, and more maintenance. And the only way to make money off it was to fill almost every seat. That's great for routes like Dubai to London, but not for smaller markets. So when newer jets like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and Airbus A350 showed up, planes that were lighter, more fuel efficient, and easier to fill, airlines switched over fast. By 2021, Airbus officially ended A380 production. Everyone assumed the super jumbo era was over, but now things are shifting again. Airports are overcrowded, flight demand is booming, and major hubs like Heathrow, Dubai, and Singapore can't handle more takeoffs. Suddenly, having one plane that carries 600 people in one go doesn't seem so ridiculous anymore.
Sure, the 777X will be efficient, quiet, and sleek. It'll have big windows and fancy lighting, and a stretched version could almost match the A380's capacity. But at the end of the day, it still feels like a plane. It lacks the wow factor, the it factor that the A380 delivers.
That's where the A380neo idea comes in. Neo stands for New Engine Option. Basically, Airbus would bring back the A380 with next-generation engines that burn less fuel and emit less carbon. Add lighter materials, better aerodynamics, and maybe even sustainable aviation fuel. And you've got a super jumbo that's greener and cheaper to run. Sounds like a dream comeback, right? Maybe, but it's not that simple.
Since at least 2015, Emirates President Tim Clark has been beating the drum about an A380 Neo, urging Airbus to build it.
Let's start with why people want this. First, nostalgia. The A380 is beloved. Passengers get excited just seeing it on the tarmac. Flying on one feels special. Airlines like Emirates and Singapore brought their A380s back after COVID and saw crazy enthusiasm from travelers. There's something iconic about it. Second, comfort. Even in economy, it's spacious. In premium cabins, it's next level. Onboard bars, showers, lounges. It makes flying feel glamorous again. Third, timing. The travel industry is changing fast. Demand is high, airport space is tight, and environmental rules are getting stricter. If Airbus can make the A380neo fuel efficient enough, it could actually fit perfectly into this new reality, moving more people per flight while using fewer slots. But now let's flip the coin, because the A380neo idea isn't all sunshine and clouds.
This effort will be really expensive. Refitting just one of these giants can cost $50 million, so the entire program will likely cost north of $5 billion. But while this price tag might be huge, the exposure, the prestige, and most importantly the money that the plane generates is well worth the cost.
For one, developing it would cost billions. Airbus would need to redesign key systems, re-engineer the wings, and develop brand new engines. That's years of work. And that money only makes sense if airlines actually buy it. And that's where the problem starts. Most airlines today want flexibility, not capacity. Smaller planes like the A321 XLR or 787 let them fly directly between cities without depending on massive hubs. It's called the point-to-point model, and it's changed aviation completely. The A380, even a Neo one, still relies on the old hub-and-spoke model, packing hundreds of passengers into one place before flying them all together to another hub. That model just isn't as popular anymore. Plus, the 4-engine setup, still an issue. The industry's moved toward twin-engine efficiency. Modern jets can fly just as far, using less fuel and maintenance. Even with new tech, a 4-engine plane will always struggle to compete on operating costs. And don't forget infrastructure. Not every airport can handle the A380. It needs wider taxiways, bigger gates, and special boarding bridges. Many airports downsized after the pandemic and aren't eager to make room for it again. So, while the A380neo sounds futuristic, the real question is, does it make business sense? Airbus isn't blind to all this. They know the original A380 didn't make a profit. That's why the Neo would need to be more than just an upgrade. It would need to redefine what a big plane can do. More sustainable, smarter, and possibly smaller in capacity. Maybe focused more on premium travel than pure volume. Think of it as less of a massive people carrier and more of an exclusive flagship experience. That's one possible way forward. Make it the world's most luxurious, most efficient long-haul aircraft. Not for everyone, but for the airlines that want to make a statement. Because despite its flaws, the A380 still inspires awe. It's aviation at its most ambitious. And in a world obsessed with efficiency, that ambition is kind of refreshing. Still, for every person cheering for the A380neo, there's another saying, don't do it. They argue that money would be better spent improving smaller planes or investing in new tech like hydrogen power or electric propulsion. Why revive something that already failed once when you could focus on the next big leap forward? And honestly, they might have a point.
Airbus's head of commercial marketing. And here's what he had to say on the subject.
My favorite plane as a passenger is a 380. And we're still very proud of the 380 as our family member.
Sure.
Now, it is in the past. I don't believe personally that it'll come back. But as I said, the focus of Airbus is to listen to its customers and then make sure that we can address their needs.
If Airbus spends billions resurrecting the A380 only for airlines to ignore it again, it could be a financial disaster. The industry's been burned by overambitious projects before. So, what's the answer? Maybe the A380neo isn't about dominating the skies. Maybe it's about preserving a legend, bringing it back in a smarter, more sustainable way. Even if it only serves a small niche. It could become a symbol of progress done differently, a bridge between aviation's golden past and a greener future. Or it could prove that some icons are better left as memories. Either way, the A380 has already earned its place in history. It pushed boundaries, made flying magical again, and reminded us what ambition looks like in the sky. But should Airbus take another shot? Would you want to see the A380neo soar again? Or should Airbus let it rest and focus on next-gen tech instead? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what side you're on, because this debate isn't just about one plane. It's about what kind of future we want for aviation itself.